Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I am finally ready to do my full review on this bad boy. This is a Spyderco Lil Native. However, it is not your everyday Spyderco Lil Native because it is a Rivers Edge Cutlery exclusive Lil Native in their signature colorway. So this one has the PVD coated CTS 204P blade. The coating on it is flat dark earth, has the OD green G10 scales, all black hardware, black deep carry, loop over style wire clip, and yeah, this is kind of their signature look at Rivers Edge Cutlery at this point. This look started with the infamous now Rec Para 3, which was very low in numbers, and it goes for obscene amounts of money on the secondary market. And then they have also done the Rec PM2, the Paramilitary 2, in the same colorway, same steel, this whole same exact treatment. And I've got one of those. I don't have the Para 3, wish I did, but there's no way I'm paying what they go for on the secondary. I just this week saw one go for, it was either 700 or 750. That's bananas for a Para 3. Way too much in my opinion, but people are going to do what they're going to do. So this variant, there aren't very many of yet. I am under the impression that there will be more of these dropping. I don't think Spyderco gave them the entire run all at once. I think it's taking them longer to make some of them, so they gave them what they had. That's kind of the way I understand it, but don't quote me on that because I'm not an employee of Rivers Edge Cutlery. That said, Rivers Edge Cutlery is fantastic. They're super supportive of the channel, and I really appreciate those guys over there. So I'm going to be linking down below to Rivers Edge Cutlery's website, their Instagram, and their YouTube, because now Riley over there is pumping out videos on their YouTube channel, which is really cool to see. And they're great guys. They're one of my favorite retailers in the business. They're just absolutely fantastic. So I really appreciate that they, A, are so great to deal with, and B, that they make knives like this a reality. So you might remember I've actually done a full review of the Spyderco Lil Native before. I'm going to try not to sound too much like a broken record here because if you watch my videos regularly, you'll have already seen me talk about this knife pretty in depth. I had one of these relatively recently in Rex 45. Is the one with the burnt orange G10 scales, and I loved that knife. It's a great little secondary. I've liked the Lil Native for a long time, and I gave that one away. Was that on Instagram or here? I think that was here on YouTube. It was relatively recently. Speaking of which, as of when this is going live, by the time this is live, I'll have already crossed 5K, which is bananas, so there's going to be a 5K giveaway coming real soon. Anyway, let's talk about this knife. So to kind of highlight the things that I love about this knife, I'll just go over real quick the features about the Lil Native that I love, and then we'll talk about why this variant is even better in my opinion. So the Lil Native in general is one of those beautiful cases where a knife that is tiny in terms of its footprint or its profile, if you will, fits my hand incredibly well for a full four-finger grip. This has the forward finger choil, which you find on a lot of Spydercos, but it's just sized so appropriately to actually be a usable forward finger choil. It fits my hand excellent. I love using this forward choil. That's frankly the only way I ever hold the knife. I don't find myself choking back to here ever. I just naturally, when I grab a Lil Native, am always using the forward choil. You don't have a ton of cutting edge on this guy, but I find it super usable because you get such a good purchase on this handle, so you can use that blade really, really well. And for me, the Lil Native as a knife is never going to be a primary carry. I carry two knives just about all the time. I have a primary knife front right pocket, secondary knife that is usually back left pocket, sometimes my coin pocket, but this is one of those knives that makes a great secondary. It's small, so it's unthreatening. If I were to pull this out somewhere like the post office or in a parking lot to open a package or something, people aren't afraid of a little knife like this. But on top of that, it's I don't know, sometimes it's nice to just have a smaller blade to do little things with. It can be a little cumbersome to be using if I'm carrying a really big primary, it's nice to have the option to pull out something small to kind of do more delicate tasks with. And the Lil Native is just an excellent, excellent secondary carry for me. So yeah, the ergos are the biggest thing about it that I love. The other thing is it's a compression lock, and compression lock Spydercos are a lot of fun. Oh, I did that bad. They're a lot of fun for me. I like to middle finger flick. It's got the hole, but I don't like back locks. And I love the Spyderco Native other than the fact that it's a back lock. I really don't like that. I also love the Spyderco Shaman. This one is a compression lock. That's better. This is about to get a scale swap. You'll see a video on that soon. But this is my C-Rex Shaman. And the fact that it's a compression lock just makes it so much better to use for my preferences. And the compression lock is one of my favorite lock types. Man, this needs adjustment, doesn't it? It's getting new scales anyway, so it's getting taken apart. Anyway, I love the compression lock. I love that to close the knife, I keep my fingers out of the path of the blade because all I have to do is press back here and boom, the blade drops. Instead of having a liner lock or a frame lock where you're pressing toward your skin with the blade, this is nice because it's just easy. Compression lock is great for a number of reasons. Plus it's strong, plus it's functional, plus it's easy to use one-handed. Like there's a lot of great that goes into the compression lock. And so the fact that the Lil Native, the little brother, the smaller version of the Native, gets that over the backlock just makes me really, really happy. There is, I think, also a backlock version of the Lil Native. You don't see those very often, but they exist from what I understand. I've never handled one, but I don't like backlocks. So I love that this one isn't a backlock, whereas it feels like so many of Spyderco's little knives are backlocks, unless you're looking at like the Pochi or the Techno. I don't like their little frame locks either. It just doesn't work well. But this, as a lock on a little knife, works really well for me. I don't know why I keep failing on that. Yeah, I just love the fidgetability for how tiny it is. I love the way that it deploys. I love the way it feels in hand. It's a great, great knife for me. So the ways that this knife is different from other variants of it, really like any Sprinter exclusive from Spyderco, it's going to be the color and then the steel. So what's a little bit unique beyond that on the Rivers Edge Cutlery exclusives is normally you have different color G10 for a Sprinter exclusive. This one's an exclusive. That means only Rivers Edge Cutlery sells it, right? So this one has the OD green G10, which is different. No one else is using all OD green G10 on their Spyderco exclusives, so that's cool. The 204P blade steel is rare to see in other Sprinter exclusives. It has been done, but it's never been done with this coating anywhere else. So Spyderco does a lot of either satin or DLC, and on just about all of their knives, those are only the only two options. On the Rivers Edge Cutlery exclusives, you get a PVD coating. Now, PVD is different from DLC in terms of how it's applied, how it functions, the way it reacts, and I really, really like PVD. It works quite well for me. I have beat on my Spyderco PM2 Rivers Edge Cutlery exclusive. That knife, I've batoned with it, I feather sticked with it, and that was just in like my first impressions video. I've been using that knife hard for months now. It's one of my like carry and use the piss out of type of knives, and it just, the coating holds up incredibly well. This knife I've done a fair bit of cutting with so far, mostly just cardboard and some zip ties and like light duty EDC type of stuff, because this size knife is a secondary for me. But everything I do with it, it wipes down well. People have asked me before how I clean it. I literally will like get some spit on my fingers and I'll wipe it, so I kind of like coat the blade in my spit. That sounds gross. And then I'll wipe it with either my shirt or a handkerchief if I've got one nearby, or a towel or whatever it is. So literally like I keep it clean with spit and it looks good. The PVD just holds up really, really well. And so to my knowledge, no other retailer has used PVD on a Spyderco exclusive. So that's pretty cool. And the fact that because it's PVD, they're able to do a flat dark earth color, which looks rad in my opinion. This colorway is just, I love it. It's very my style. So I dig that. Anyway, it's a great knife. Because I've already spoken so in depth about the Lil Native before, I think I'll probably kind of leave it there. But yeah, genuinely, Rivers Edge Cutlery is fantastic. And it's important to me that retailers like them continue to make things like this. So if you haven't checked out Rivers Edge Cutlery, if you haven't been on their site, if you haven't shopped from them or with them before, check them out, because they're not only do they have a pretty good selection, not like Blade HQ levels of selection on their site, but they're smaller. They're growing, and their selection is getting even better, but they have really cool stuff. They purposely stock cool stuff. They work with cool smaller makers to bring in inventory a lot too. And on top of that, every time that I place an order from them, it's like obscenely fast how quick they're able to turn it around and get it on its way to me. Every now and then USPS sucks. Like right now I'm waiting on a package that just hasn't updated in a few days. But when I ordered it, it left their doorstep. Like it's always like under 24 hours somehow. It's really impressive. And a lot of the bigger retailers that are out there just don't do that. There are a few good small ones, Rivers Edge Cutlery being one of the best, that just has great customer service, cares about their clients, and their knife users too. They're genuine like knife nuts over there, which is great because you can chat knives with the guys who work there, and they actually have interesting things to say, and you can tell that they care and that they use their stuff, and it's just really cool. So I appreciate them a lot over there. Again, they're going to be linked down below, and check them out if you haven't. They're also sending some stuff for my 5K giveaway, so I'll be shouting them out again soon, but they're just some of the coolest guys. So this is the Rec Lil Native, and I love this knife. I carry it a ton as a secondary. It's taken me a while to do this full review, not because I haven't had enough experience with it, just timing of how many things I've had on my table lately, but this knife makes it into my back left pocket so much. And I have a couple of really good like secondary knives at this point that I just love. This one is like top 3 for sure. It's like this, the Giant Mouse Ace Riv, and probably the Urban EDC Supply Vox F5.5. Between the 3 of these, if I never had another secondary knife, I could probably be pretty happy. Not that that's going to happen. I'm going to keep trying new stuff all the time because that's what I do. But I love it. The ergos are great. Its cutting ability is great. It's a nice full flat grind with a great edge on it. It's just like, it's a lot of performance for how tiny it is. So as long as you're cutting something that isn't like deeper than this, right? It doesn't need more cutting surface than this, which is rare for most of the cutting tasks that most of us are doing all the time. This is plenty of knife to get most jobs done, and it excels at it. It's great. It's in a phenomenal steel. It looks amazing in this colorway. It's got a compression lock. It Spidey flicks. Like, what more do you want? I love this knife. So anyways, that is the Rec Lil Native, or the Avocado Lil Native, if you will. And this is a sweet one. Don't ask me if you can buy it, because you can't. This is a keeper. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.